Hello everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Cloudninespain podcast. My name's Sean Woolley, I'm the Managing Director. With me I have
Emma Kavanagh, Business Development Manager.
And special guest today is Rebecca Want, who is in charge of Marbella Interiors, which is a furniture company that we often use to help our clients. Sorry, you could have done that introduction.
I'm quite happy, that's fine.
We thought we'd do a quick pod today just to give you an update on what's happening here on the Costa del Sol in terms of activity. Are there any people here? Are there any tourists here? Are there any buyers here? What's happening? Are we all locked up? And yeah, just to give you a sort of overview of how things are on the ground here, because I guess wherever you are in the world, you're hearing media reports of things happening, things not happening. So we just wanted to give you some cold hard facts really, and some evidence based on us living here. We were going to be doing this podcast in a very glamorous location on the beach in Guadalmina this morning, but we woke up to a sea mist.
It's like pea soup.
It is.
Pea soup.
Yeah, it's the right pea
so
soup.
it was a bit foggy this morning. Here we are, middle of August, a bit foggy. But I think it's to do with the sea warming up, isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought
Well,
it was
no,
something to do
because-
with hot air hitting the cold sea.
Anyway, it was like a bath. If you can imagine walking into a bathroom
But
and it's like a
hot
steam bath and
and
hot and
humid
and foggy.
You're
And
going to
gone now, though.
have a really hot weekend.
yeah,
aren't
that's
we?
it. So I'm wondering if it is the sea.
No, we have got a heat wave
the
hitting
sea
this
warming
weekend.
up and hitting,
Oh,
or maybe
maybe.
I don't understand.
We'll Google fact it later.
If anyone can tell us, that'd be great. But we actually got down there and we just thought this isn't going to look great on camera.
Looked like we're in Manchester or something, didn't it?
Yeah, it did a bit.
Blackpool.
So we're back in the office basically, and we tried to make it look as glamorous as possible, but we haven't done very well. But yeah, so next time I promise we will be on the beach with a bit of sea and yeah, the real Spain. But today it just didn't work out. Anyway, enough of rambling on. So today we're just going to give you, first of all, start with what life is currently like here on the Costa del Sol. How are we finding things, guys?
Personally,
Yeah.
it's changed. Life has changed.
Definitely different.
I used to eat out quite a lot and go for coffees and meet different people, and I'm spending
No,
more.
you didn't.
I did. And I
You were a recluse stuck up in the hills. Who are you
I was
kidding?
coming on to that. I'm enjoying being at home more so than ever now.
Yeah.
I'm still going out and about and, we went out the other weekend.
People will start talking.
But life has changed a little bit and yeah.
No, I agree. I think when we were in lockdown, we got out of the habit of being out and about and going out so much as we did, and got used to staying in more. And now there's certain rests we've found. We are going out, but we've found certain cafes that we feel that are clean and that we trust and that we know the people. It is definitely different.
I'm ready for a holiday. I've had enough because I'm normally not here in for a large part of August because it's just too hot. I'm not a beach person. Look at me. I like to get out of here. I like to go back to the UK, have a bit of rain, bit of cold, see a few friends. Who am I kidding? And come back for kind of the end of the season. So I've been here now too long, and I'm
August
getting
is hot.
I'm getting
End
a bit
of
of
July,
cabin
beginning
fever.
of August is
I
really
think when
hot.
you live
I
here
always
as
get
well.
to this stage and I go, I really would like some rain.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's hot for. It's okay if you're on holiday and you just want to lie by the pool.
You've got your clothes off and you can
Yeah.
run around.
But when you've got to try and do a bit of work and it's really sweaty.
Yeah.
And now we're
It
wearing
is.
a mask while doing it.
yeah,
And it is really sweaty.
So what things have changed then in terms of, because obviously we've been through various cycles of this pandemic, various restrictions. We were locked down for a couple of weeks, weren't we?
Yeah.
Like basically locked in.
Yeah.
And then we were allowed out with restrictions, and now we've got the face mask issue. So am I right in saying that in terms of restrictions, what we're now allowed to do is anywhere in public we have to put a face mask on
Yeah.
Unless we're sitting at a table with beverages
with beverages?
or food.
Yeah.
Okay. So anywhere, and also that for a work point of view, if we have clients in the car that aren't in the same family unit, which of course is every client,
Yeah.
it means that everyone in the car has to mask up as well, which is it's quite difficult if you've got a client here for 3 or 4 days wanting to look at properties 6 hours a day. Not only have you got to wear your mask outside when you're looking at the properties, but also in the car.
Yeah.
So it's a bit difficult.
We've had a situation where we've been doing a furniture installation on a development and the developer hadn't quite finished the kitchen. So I had to coordinate between, we've got the kitchen installers, I've got my installation team, Then there's the people they were fixing something on the terrace, so everybody had to work with masks on. And you kind of feel responsible as well, because you've got your staff that you want to make sure they're safe, but you've got to get the property furnished, because obviously the clients are coming over. And it's coordinating all of that. It's that level between getting the job done, being uncomfortable, making sure everybody's secure.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people doing a physical job with a
The
mask
physical
on.
job even more so, yeah.
I mean, I know quite a few people who are sort of gardeners and maintenance people. I mean, they're doing 8 hours in 40-degree heat wearing a mask.
Yeah, it's not.
That's hard.
Yeah, it's not right. What other restrictions have we got? We've got a new one, haven't we, that came in last weekend, which is you have to be home to bed. Well, you haven't got to be home to bed, but basically the restaurants...
Nightclubs are shut, basically.
Nightclubs are shut,
closed,
and bars
yeah.
close at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So basically 12:30, and they're kind of...
Which this time of year is difficult.
The music comes off.
Because a lot of people go out for dinner at 11:30 this time of year because of the heat.
That's right. I was who was I with? I was with someone the other day, and they were telling me that they were in Tarifa last weekend. And you know what Tarifa's like? It's on the Costa Del Sol. It's a real kind of party town, quite young vibe and surfy vibe. And of course they were out, as you say, eating quite late, and they were in a bar, great atmosphere. 12:30 comes, the music just stops.
Yeah.
The lights come on. It's like being back at home. The lights come
Last
off.
orders.
Yeah, and the police were there.
Yeah.
Police were kicking everyone out. So
because Spain's always been known for being very relaxed,
especially this time of year.
and you can have your dinner late, you can party late.
Yeah,
you
you
can
don't
go
get
to
kicked
bed,
out
you know.
anywhere, do you?
Whereas in England, where we're from, like you said, lights on, last orders, everyone wants to get home.
I never understood that. Did you?
No.
When you're in a nightclub, you know, you were a bit drunk. You know,
Having the last dance.
Having the last dance, trying to find your 10 to 2 woman or plant. I've done a bit of 10 to 2 prowling at a time. And then 2 o'clock, the lights come on. And you're like,
You're like this.
So get me home. Anyway.
No, get me a kebab.
Yeah, get me a kebab. Yeah, kebab and a taxi.
So life's different here in Spain at the moment.
It is different.
We've had to adjust.
And how different is it to a typical August, would you say? Have you noticed a significant decrease in volume?
There are less tourists here. Mainly, the English tourists have had to leave earlier with children.
And some of them just kind of, not panicked, but some of them just like booked the next
Well,
flight
they
home.
had to, because the thing is, say like a lot of children went back, we've got friends whose children went back to school today. They were due to be here until, I don't even know what date it is, I've lost track, but they were going to go home 3 or 4 days before term started, so they can get the backpacks ready and kind of sort of thing. They basically had to cut their holiday short by 2 weeks to be able to do 2 weeks quarantine before the kids started school.
Right. Okay.
I think it really depends on your work situation as well, doesn't it? What you've got to go back to, if you've got your own business and you can work from home, or you've actually got a job to go back to.
Yeah, I mean, one of my clients, I finished his house and he couldn't come over because he literally was due to fly the day before they announced the quarantine, and he works for a developer in the UK and travels around. So as soon as he got back, he couldn't do quarantine, so they've not been able to come over at all.
It's very interesting actually, because what it's left us with is almost like a 2-level kind of demographic here, because there was a few weeks ago, it was busy, wasn't it? It was almost like summer was coming. It was just before the quarantine was issued from Boris Johnson.
Like the last 2 weeks in July just got really, really busy.
It did. Busy.
It felt normal again, didn't it? And I think all the bars and restaurants were like, oh, we're going to have a summer, and then of course, bang.
Yeah.
And
but
since then, it's gone down.
There's a lot of French tourists here at
There
the
are.
minute. There's quite a lot of Portuguese. And there's quite a lot of people have come from, there's quite a lot of Arab tourists as well.
I'll tell you what I found, there's a lot of money here at the moment.
Oh yeah, you see it with the cars around.
You see it with the cars,
There's
and a
around.
huge amount of money here. And what I think it has done is that people who, it's not so important to get back home.
Yes.
Or people who haven't got a report for work at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, people who are the bosses basically, or who own the companies, they can kind of be a bit more flexible.
Yeah.
And also staying longer. So rather than coming for a week, 10 days, they're staying for 6 weeks for the whole of the summer holidays instead of travelling to. They may have come to Marbella and then gone to France, or had a couple of holidays, but instead they're staying here for 6 weeks at a time.
It's very interesting because we'll come on to the numbers in a minute, but in terms of the kind of demographic of the clients that we're getting, I would say that they're the higher spenders. So our average deal value has gone up. So I think the first quarter of the year it was around 600,000. It's now over $1 million in the last sort of 6 weeks. So that kind of shows you the level of client that is is here or able to get here, and I think it just doesn't matter as much to them about the quarantine issue.
No,
because
the Puente Romano Beach Club yesterday was surprisingly busy. Not that I went to the Puente Romano Beach Club, I was adjacent.
You didn't take advantage of the €95 buffet?
I was on the beach adjacent to it. But, you know, all of a sudden this music came on, there was dancers, and there was this big old party going on. You know, the sun lounges were all full. That, you know, that was, it just looked awesome.
There's money here. And the interesting thing is, we have a little business on the Costa Blanca, Costa Calida, where our average sale is around 200,000, 250,000 euros, and that market for us anyway is quiet. People just have cancelled every client tour I think we had planned is cancelled, and I guess it's just the evidence that people with those sorts of budgets normally have other people to answer to in the grand scheme of things. And because of that, their movement is restricted. So it's really interesting to see which other people that have sort of, we don't care about that. We don't need to worry about the quarantine. We'll just come over anyway and crack on with our plans. It's quieting down. I mean, considering we are the third week of August, it's quiet.
Week automatically. At the end of this week, it would automatically get quieter anyway.
Do you think so?
End of August. Well, because obviously you've got a lot of people down from Madrid and Barcelona that come down this time of year.
Have they been here? Because I haven't seen a huge amount of evidence.
There's quite a lot.
I haven't heard the car horns honking. Because they tend to get a bit impatient, don't they?
But I think what people are doing is they're
Thanks for that,
no one honks at your
house. I've been watching the rain every day.
But I think that there are quite a lot, but I think people are staying in more. They're not going to the restaurants. You know, they're staying in. People have made the decision. People have said to me, well, look, I was locked down for a little bit. If I'm going to get locked down, I want to get locked down here. I don't mind.
Why are we staying in? Is it money? Is it fear? Why are we staying in? Shouldn't we be helping these businesses here to
what we're doing is we're just being a bit more conscious of what we're spending on. We're doing exactly that. We're spending money in local restaurants run by families that we know suffered in lockdown.
I've still got my favourites that I've gone back to again, but I'm not kind of out there trying new things out like I normally would during the summer. Oh, this one's open, let's try that. I've stuck to my old ones and gone back to them to support them.
She never goes
I
out.
do.
I must admit, they said nightclubs are going to close, and I was like, no, shit.
You won't be gallivanting down.
It's not. But the only effect it had on me was the fact that they would say on Saturday night, because the nightclubs were shut, the supercars were zooming around San Pedro.
Get you?
Because people were bored. No. I was just lying awake thinking we should just go to bed.
Do we feel safe?
At home, yes, no. No, definitely feel safe. Everyone's social distancing. Everyone's wearing masks.
I think because there's kind of a flat. It's rather than you can wear masks in the UK. You kind of feel you wear masks there, but you don't wear masks there. There's a lot of misinformation.
Here it's just masks.
Here it's just
or
do
fine
it.
or get
so everybody. So it feels like everybody's kind of being careful.
And I do watch the UK
careful.
news and just think, kind of, there's fights in supermarkets because everyone's commenting, oh, you haven't got your mask on, but she doesn't know that she's got to wear a mask, and there's
so many differences of opinion, whereas here everybody is, just put
there's
a mask
people
on.
spitting at the police and things, and it's like, here, you just wear a mask.
But it's in the same in the States, people are really kicking off, you're seeing these videos, but here, and the difference here is everybody is used to it's a very huggy, tactile society, country, and that is you bump into friends that you've not seen for a while, and you're kind of going hi at a distance, and you've got your mask on. That feels very different because you're used to not giving them the two kisses and a hug. It is
weird. And
but I don't walk around thinking I'm going to catch something, and I don't think anybody is. Everybody's just being like you would in flu season. Everybody's just being sensible.
I think also what I like about being in Spain is the fact that, everyone's taking it very seriously. As you say, I think there's a huge amount of people that are respecting the rules around the mask wearing. Restaurants and bars, when you go in, they might do a quick temperature test, and they'll have sanitizer there for you. And if you happen to have forgotten to put, they'll be very polite to can you put your mask on. But even when you go shopping, like to the big El Corte Inglés, it's a nice relaxed experience. They're not after you
stressful.
kind of cleaning things as you pass.
In some ways,
nice.
It feels better because you feel like, well, at least the place is clean. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with the fact that there are people cleaning the escalators. I mean, that escalator was probably cleaned once every 6 months before this.
But Spain also is a very clean country anyway, with the street cleaning and things like that. They always take pride in their in their public spaces.
It's weird because I don't have any fear at all. I don't go out thinking, oh my word, I wonder if I'm going to catch COVID today. No. Absolutely not. I just think, oh crikey,
because you know everything is a bit annoying wearing the mask. You know everything is clean. You wash your hands when you come home. As long as I think the place is probably safe. Yeah. That's one of the comments actually. People that had to leave because of getting kids into quarantine said we actually feel safer here than going back to the UK.
Yeah, a lot of my clients said the same. They felt very safe here. I think the way it was just policed, not by the police, but by everybody. Everyone kind of took a sense of responsibility over it and got stuck in, and we did what we.
Yeah, I don't think there's. I mean, they've been criticised for it, but the government made decisions purely based on healthcare and whether the healthcare system could cope. There weren't many economic decisions made, which they've come to criticism for, but I think it.
And in terms of our current situation here in Spain, in terms of infections, yes, infections have been rising, which I think we all expected once we were allowed out and mixed. It would. There've been a few isolated cases where there've been quite a number of infections, which they've managed to trace back to one person or parties or family gatherings or funerals or whatever it is. So they've actually done a good job on tracking and tracing those people. But how is Spain fixed with regards to intensive care admissions and deaths? Do we know where we are?
30 in Andalusia, 30 ICU cases at the moment in the whole of Andalusia. So we're talking Granada, Sevilla.
Okay.
Malaga.
There's quite a lot of people in the hospital, but with mild cases.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people being tested because, like you say, if a member of family catches it, they test the whole thing, you know, and not sound like Donald Trump. They're testing a lot, so they're coming up with a lot, with a lot, and there definitely are cases. There definitely are.
The death rate
you need to be careful.
But the ICU admission rate and the death rate is significantly lower. And I don't know if this is right, but I heard that it was kind of on a par with a typical flu season, really, in terms of people.
Well, the media at the moment are really focusing on cases, aren't they?
Yes,
because
they've moved away from
number.
Deaths.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, there's 10,000 cases, and it's like, well,
but actually
how many? I mean, not all deaths are important. It's a very sore subject because if someone, that could be your nan or your dad or your mum. Of course we care about the deaths, but the media are really focusing on that big number of infections.
I think what you've got at the minute is the infections. It's mainly young people. That have been to the Starlight, or they've been to a big party, or to a nightclub,
and they haven't even got symptoms
on the beach.
No, that's right.
But
little kid I know has it and no symptoms.
No,
at all.
and the reason they're worrying is that they think the next wave will be when those young people then infect their grandparents.
Yeah.
And that's why they keep being careful.
And why are those young people not infecting their grandparents? I
think a lot of grandparents are still isolating.
Right, okay.
There's a lot of older people still being
that's
very
what should have
careful.
happened at the start, isn't it, really? We should have locked up the oldies. I mean, if they're the vulnerable...
I locked up my oldie a week before they told me I had to.
She come out.
She's still in there.
Still locked in that room, isn't she? Bless her.
She's happy. She's fine.
And also high risk.
She's well fed.
Elder people,
But you're right what you're saying. The media, their job and their whole raison d'etre is to sell news, isn't it?
And
of course, it's better news to say there's been 10,000 cases than one death.
The dilemma at the moment is the schools going back. That's causing a lot of...
Not a dilemma for me.
Well, no. But it's causing a lot of debate. And
really?
Yeah, because initially, when it all happened, they initially said, right, when the kids go back to school, there will be a maximum of 15 children. This is in the public schools, this is the state schools. There'll be a maximum of 15 kids in the school. And then they quickly realised they couldn't really afford that and they didn't have enough classrooms. So now it's 26. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, which actually is, my son is in a class of 26 kids. So now they're saying that 26 kids can go back to school. And I think the kids need school.
Yeah,
they've been isolated. We've created a little bubble of selected friends. It's a long time. But in one hand, they're saying 26 kids can go to school, but on the other hand, you can only have a maximum of 10 people sitting at a dinner table. But those 26 kids have got siblings, and Spanish school finishes at 2 o'clock for lunch. Most people work longer hours than that, so more often than not, it's grandma or granddad or auntie or uncle picking up that child for lunch. So your social isolation is gone once school starts.
But you've got to get them back.
But they've got to go back.
It's like business, you've just got to...
Exactly, and they don't really know what to do. They're in a bit of a panic, and they're having meetings, but no one knows. We've not been given a start date.
Okay, really?
No.
Jesus.
They've said in September.
Yeah, they haven't specified which year.
No, there is that. But kids, and because of course now, before, when the kids were not at school, we were on lockdown, so we had a lot more flexibility with our working. Some people weren't working at all. Now everybody generally is back to working normally. So what do you do with the children?
Apart from Emma. Yeah. We just bought a new mattress.
She's planning on sleeping till next
Tuesday. She's emergency now for another week.
I tend to do like a 19-hour day one day. And then
I'll have a couple of
days off. And then I'll do a 16-hour
when you're
next
a doctor,
day.
You do your 36-hour shift and then you have 3 days off.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. We do work some weird hours. So what's happening with clients at the moment then? I mean, are there any clients knocking around, or are they all? Is anyone buying?
I've been doing 15-hour days,
is
so I've been busy.
Yeah.
I mean, to give you some stats, we've done in the last 6 or 7 weeks almost €9 million worth of property sales, which is
impressive.
For that amount of time is significant. Normally, July, August, we kind of never know what the market's going to be like. You get a lot of people who are here who kind of might want to have a look at properties.
But they're on holiday.
You never know if the intent is there. Yeah, they've got kids in tow and stuff like that.
There's been some of those.
Yeah, they're the ones given to you. Did you not notice?
There's been some of those.
Been a few
but that's fine. It's all part of the job.
So we've done a lot of serious business, and as I say, I think the average transaction value was over €1 million.
But do you not think there may be people who were umming and ahhing about it before have said, you know what, let's just do this?
Well, it's definitely meant that our client base is divided into 2 categories. One is and it's pretty much 50-50, I would say. There's 50% of our database who were always a little bit nervous. You know, it doesn't take much to kind of, and I think they're even more nervous because they just think, oh my God, the world could be ending. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other half who were quite keen anyway, who are now a lot more gung-ho, who are saying, do you know what, life's too short, let's enjoy it. I also think what has helped in terms of the sort of mid to high end of the market is people who are looking at a purchase here as a holiday home, but also thinking, do you know what? My boss has just told me I can work 3 weeks out of 4 from home. Why not spend it in Costa Del Sol? Yeah. So, we've had a lot more inquiries, people asking about villas with home offices and things like that, and that might be a twist to this whole saga that actually helps.
I found with
us.
my clients, because my business is focused on offering a service where people don't have to worry about going shopping. So it's all included, you choose all the individual items, it's all online. So it's a shopping experience, but limited. You're not traipsing around shops, and then when you come over, it's all done. Yeah. Now, some people don't want that. They want to come over and they want to shop. They want to go choosing all these and things like that. And I've had clients who were in that situation where they thought, no, we're going to go over, we're going to have a lovely holiday, and we'll spend the whole time looking around furniture and really personalise. They phone me and they say, can you just furnish the house, please? Because we just want to come and have a holiday. We don't want to be traipsing around shops. We want it all done.
It's very
that's the difference I've noticed,
and that's also translated into property viewings. What we've done is a lot of kind of video viewings. Yeah, you've done a lot, haven't you? Yeah. And some of them we've sold 2 properties, one at 1.25, one at 2.75 million euros without clients seeing the property,
which is amazing.
Done off the back of really good videos that you did, and spending a lot of time with clients on the phone while you're there in the property, doing videos, and that's really mattered. So what we've found is that a lot of people who've come over to see us in the last 6 weeks, they've almost been at second viewing stage. They've been a little bit more advanced, similar to you in the furniture. They don't want to do that first bit because it's been done. We've actually prepped them, we've given them videos, we've kind of shortlisted from those videos to maybe 4 or 5 properties that they physically want to see. And it's meant that our use of our time has become more productive because we haven't got that first stage of the process to get through. So it's just different patterns are emerging.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you probably used to get clients that come over. Well, it's our first visit. We want to get a feel for areas. So you'll spend a lot of time taking them around different areas and things like that, and not really solidly looking. And maybe then on a different visit, maybe people are doing that sort of research.
Yeah, they are.
Before they get
online.
Here.
They are.
There's lots more tools available now with the maps and the street view, and I had a client. He dropped the man down and he said, actually, no, I don't like that street.
Yeah.
Take that house out of the selections. Let's go back to because you'd had a good look round on the Google Earth.
It's not just the agents using the technology; it's the clients, isn't it? Yeah. Because they realise that they haven't got maybe as much time to spend here, or they can't come. So they are doing a lot more research from home because they still want to do it. I mean, you know, buying a second home abroad, a holiday home, or even it's exciting, and it's something that everyone would like to do. Not everyone needs to do it. In fact, no one needs to do it. But yeah, you know, it's great. And you know, in terms of nationalities of people buying, we've had all sorts of people. I think we've had a real mixture in the last few months of
Belgium, Swedish.
Yeah, well, the UK, Belgian, and Swedish. The Belgians seem to be back a little bit. They were very dominant last year and the year before, but they seem to be back a little bit more now. UK, Belgium, and Sweden were our three kind of 1, 2, 3 from last year. But we've had Irish. We have had people from the Middle East, so it is a good Swiss, French. So it's
Canadian.
a good. People from the Middle East are finding problems travelling.
Yes, they are, because a lot of them are stuck.
There are some that are going via Germany. I've spoken to a few people. Apparently, they're travelling out and doing quite a lot of stops.
Okay, it's more difficult for them, isn't it?
But it's very, the border control is very strict with
because normally
I think a lot more people are driving here as well.
Yes, they are.
You see on the roads there's a lot more different nationality registration plates than normal. As well.
People are scared of flying.
Well, it's just uncomfortable. I mean, I would never have thought of driving back to the UK or driving over here from the UK, but actually, you know, to take a nice leisurely trip for a couple of days over sitting in a plane or in an airport for 4 hours with a mask.
Exactly. Which, I mean, airports aren't fun on the best of occasions.
No, they're not. They're not. In terms of client inquiries, there's 3 ways of assessing how we're doing as a market here. The first one is, are we getting inquiries from clients? The answer is yes, we are. In fact, our inquiry rate has held up pretty well all the way through this. We had a dip when the pandemic thing started and everyone was just like, oh. But now it's pretty consistently high.
But it's still a nice place to be.
Exactly. The fundamentals. The fundamentals are still there. Secondly, client tours, which is the difficult part, because obviously we had that window opportunity in July when a lot of people were here who were able to partake in tours. We're still getting a lot of people now, but I almost sense that the next few weeks might be a bit quieter because people have got kids to think about, getting them back to school. And a lot of countries are in quarantine, so I just think it's more messy for people now. So we've noticed a little drop off in the appointment level, but I expect that once that quarantine issue is over, the kids are back to school, maybe October, November, we might get another spurt like we had in July where people come over but really intent on doing business, which is great. And then the third measure of the state of the market obviously is the sales. Are people coming over and just looking, or are they actually buying? And the answer to that is no, they're buying. What we've noticed is that there's probably been a slight correction in pricing on a lot of what we always considered overpriced stock. So some vendors who were just being greedy basically have decided so they've decided to they need to lower their expectations, and that's meant that on paper there's been some good deals. So a lot of people who, particularly cash buyers, have taken advantage of that. Developers, we haven't seen so much evidence of discounting. We still haven't got to financial year end yet, which is traditionally for most developers the end of December. So I still stand by what I said, that I think there might be a little bit of discounting going on in the last quarter of the year.
I mean, they can't too much, because if they sold 30% of the development or 50% of the development, you can't then start knocking 100,000 off an apartment.
What I've noticed is
it dilutes the whole
so
product.
Maybe some more offers. You might get a furniture voucher or something like that.
I've noticed with clients that have been coming to me with new developers are, I think, possibly a bit cash poor in that they're saying, right, can you finish? Can you complete?
They want completion.
They want completion.
Of course they do. They want the money in the bank.
Exactly. So I can see that, because people then coming to me and say, right, it's ready.
I also think some of the bigger developers don't have the same financial stress that maybe
they don't.
more localised developers do. A lot of them are probably refinanced their debt anyway, and banks are still lending money to retail buyers. They're still lending money to Joe Bloggs who wants an apartment or a villa. And that again is one of the fundamentals of the market. Is there
banks don't seem to be worried.
Is there a source of money? No. And yes, there is. In 2008, people are saying to me, "Oh, is this similar to 2008? Is the market going to crash?" The two things we had in 2008, one was banks to stop lending money because they didn't have any, and the second one was that there was a glut of new stock on the market because, of course, everyone, including me and maybe you, panicked and thought, "Oh my God, the world's going to end. Let's just sell what we don't need." We haven't seen that this time around. As I say, we've seen some price discounting and corrections, but we haven't seen vendors saying, please sell my property?
Well, no, I mean, I think people that have a property, unless obviously they're in an unfortunate position where they've lost their job, which, you know, there are people that have been affected, they're not seeing a push to sell the property.
No.
They still, you know, yes, okay, their travel restrictions are in place at the minute, but the minute the travel restrictions are limited, I've not had anybody saying, oh, I'm thinking I'm going to sell the house, or I'm not going to complete on it because I don't think I'm going to travel anymore. They're just desperate to come over.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people and publications have asked me for comments recently, and I've said, look, at the moment, and all I can say is what we see here on the ground. No one's got a crystal ball. If this goes on for another 6 to 12 months,
who knows?
Who knows? But at the moment, it feels like a pause.
Yeah.
But it's a pause that we're actually coming out of now. And as I say, we're seeing transactions, we're seeing deals being done, and that's good. You know, so I think we're coming out of it. What we don't need is another lockdown, but I don't see economically how the world can cope with another lockdown, to be honest with you.
I think, you know, like I said, the Spanish government were very focused on healthcare the first time. Now they're balancing everything, and they're going to maybe, you know, they might say to that town, look, you need to stay in past a certain town, or you do
like
certain
localised.
localised restrictions and controls.
Yeah.
I think in Murcia now they've said, okay, less people going out for dinner, please, and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're not. They can't.
They can't lock us down.
They can't.
No.
They can't afford it, and I don't think people
would
be as compliant the second time round.
I think the first time round,
I think
people
first time
were
round,
actually
people
like,
were
this is a
genuinely
bit different. I don't mind locking down for a little bit.
There was so little information out there. You genuinely were quite worried.
Yeah.
You know, people said to me, "Oh, you're really lucky because you can walk the dog." It was creepy. It was creepy walking the dog. And the one day, one day I was walking the dog, and this truck came down the road, and they had this. I can only describe it as one of those massive fertilisers that you see on farms, which just spray. And basically that was going down the high street, spraying disinfectant.
Spraying you don't know what.
I don't know what it was spraying.
But you hope it's disinfectant.
And there's me with my dog, and I'm like, and I just legged it home. It was weird.
Weird times, isn't it?
Whereas now, if they said, right, everybody shut down, people would go, no.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to live our lives.
So just coming on to the last question then, before we finish, which is basically what do we expect to happen? I don't think we know, but I think, as we've said, I don't think there's going to be a lockdown. I think there may be some restrictions locally, like you said. Maybe we won't be able to leave the Andalusia province or the Malaga province or whatever it might be.
They might just do that for a week or so, a couple of weeks.
I think, I think the schools will go back.
Yeah.
I think the schools will go back, and they're just going to see what happens. Yeah. And it might well be that one person gets sick and that class has to all isolate. Yeah. I think it will be in the situation that's.
So in September, I could call you and say, Sean, they've locked down Loss of Carer, so I can't go out for 2 weeks because I've got my new mattress.
She's got the plan, doesn't she? Well, I'm going to write another book in September. I've decided.
And they're locking down Los Flamingos as well, I heard, for a week.
We're always on lockdown.
It's so quiet where he is.
No one knows where I am. No, I mean, I think we might have a little bit of a quieter September. I've got to admit. So I've got a few plans to do a couple of other things.
But also people that didn't want to come here in July and August when they thought, oh, it's going to be really, really busy there, could then say, well, let's go in September, October when it's a little bit quieter.
I think October, November might be busy.
I think there'll be
tell you what,
anyway,
why are we even discussing this? We'll have a vaccine by then, won't we?
But
what happened to that?
No, that's
what happened to vaccine? What happened to the vaccine?
I'm just going day by day, to be honest, because it just seems the news.
But also now, I know that if you fly back into Heathrow, for instance, you can take this quick test, can't you? And it gives you results in 7 hours or something.
And you don't have to quarantine.
So you don't have to quarantine. And I think we're going to see more of that. So I think just to get the world moving again, we're going to see more of this kind of instant testing where you can get back to work or whatever within a day or so, rather than 2 weeks, because that's the problem. And people, it is difficult for most people to plan. If you know you've got to go home and sit there for 2 weeks.
And again, was it a political move?
Oh, it is, Emma. Well, you need your own podcast, love.
Come on.
Was it a political move? What, to control?
Staycations. Let's have staycations. Let's boost the UK and economy.
I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Too.
Boris wanted to keep them in the country.
Yeah. And you know what? Us living in Spain, if we go somewhere, if we go to the UK, we don't have to quarantine. How does that work?
I don't know.
Yeah,
we have to quarantine in Spain if we would go to the UK.
No,
we have to. But we have to do 2 weeks in England, don't we?
Yeah, if the British people come here, they don't have to quarantine, for example. Yeah, it doesn't work the other way around.
But but they're saying that people that have been in Spain, where the restaurants are very careful, you're wearing a mask, where you go to the supermarket, you're wearing a mask walking down the street, and that you're a danger going back to the UK. Whereas in the UK, people are wandering around
Well,
without wearing masks. So are you more likely to have caught it here or caught it there?
You've got this incentive of eat out to help out.
Yes.
Yeah, and my nan said she's been off out gallivanting,
Well,
and she said it's packed.
Yeah. A Monday to Wednesday.
Absolutely
you get
packed.
Basically half price food or a tenner off or whatever it is. You'd be out every night, wouldn't you?
Of course you would.
So I think those
Especially when you've been stuck in cooking for 2 months.
well,
on lockdown.
As we know, I have my meals delivered.
We know now.
Do you still have your meals delivered?
Of course.
Do you really?
Yeah, I don't cook.
Although I've changed that. I don't do supermarkets anymore. I did the online delivery. I started online, and that's it. I don't do supermarkets anymore.
And has your life improved as a result?
Oh, it's so much easier.
What, so much more time on your hands?
Well, yeah, and it's just like hot and sweaty. You know, you go to you go to supermarket, you do your supermarket, and you've got to wear your mask and all that kind of. Well, I literally haven't done it. I've not experienced the supermarket post lockdown because I've got the big Mercadona does all my, and then does the main stuff.
Okay.
And then I've got a lady that brings fresh fruit and veg. She's got an organic fruit and veg delivery.
This lady who brings fresh
She's
fruit.
lovely.
That sounds fabulous. You've got a fruit and veg man, haven't you? A secret fruit and veg man.
Anymore.
Do you not?
Yeah.
Because you're not in the office that much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Used to come in and
I'll
see
give you my
me,
lady's name. She'll deliver to you.
Okay.
Here we go.
It's brilliant.
Here we go. So
that is a huge change, which I'm not going back on.
No, I'm all for the meal prep and all that business. I don't do summer. I'm like one of those rare species of animals that you don't see me in August. Sorry about the legs, by the way. They won't be out again.
We'll censor it. We'll censor it on the camera.
We'll just try and hide behind these things. So anyway, I think we've covered what we came here to talk about and more. We've given you a little sort of update on what's happening here on the ground. I hope I pressed record, otherwise we're in big trouble. And next week, I'm actually hoping to arrange a pod with one of the leading lawyers here on the coast, Miguel Manzanares. He doesn't know this yet. I don't know why I'm even talking about it. But just to give you an update on the next thing, which is Brexit, of course, which is going to hit us at the end of the year. So if you are planning on making a permanent move to Spain, you need to get your ducks in a row pretty soon, let me tell you. So anyway, I'll leave you with that thought. And from me, it's a very fond goodbye, and hope you have a lovely rest of the week. And goodbye from these guys. Take care.